You're holding what was supposed to be Samsung's most important foldable yet, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. The moment you unfold it, it looks like the future, thin, premium, and borderline impossible for a phone with two displays. But then, real life kicks in. Your battery drops faster than your patience in rush hour traffic. The cameras look great in perfect light, and surprisingly average when conditions get tricky. And suddenly that big question hits you, is the Galaxy Z Fold 7 actually worth around $2,000? And even bigger than that, if you're thinking about upgrading, should you skip the Z Fold 7 and wait for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8? Today, we're going deep. Not just the highlight reel. We're breaking down what Samsung got right with the Galaxy Z Fold 7, where it feels behind its biggest rivals like Vivo and Honor, and what Samsung must fix with the Galaxy Z Fold 8 if they want to stay on top of the foldable phone market in 2026. We'll cover design and comfort, durability and IP ratings, battery life and charging speed, cameras, and the one upgrade that could make the Z Fold 8 the most satisfying foldable to use every single day. A significantly reduced screen crease, so if you're a Galaxy fan, a foldable power user, or someone trying to figure out whether foldables are finally ready for the mainstream, this is the video you want to watch before you spend flagship money. Let's start with the area where Samsung genuinely deserves credit: the design. Because on first impression, the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is a statement. Samsung finally pushed the hardware forward in a way you can feel immediately. Unfold the Z Fold 7 and you get an insanely thin body, around 4.2 millimeters. That's the kind of thinness that makes your brain do a double take. It doesn't just look premium, it looks engineered. Put it next to the Galaxy Z Fold 6, and the difference is obvious. The older model suddenly feels thicker, heavier, and more early-gen foldable. The Z Fold 7 feels like Samsung is chasing the same sleek, refined vibe that made slab phones feel mature. And then there's the cover display, another huge win. For years, one of the biggest complaints about Samsung's Z Fold lineup was the narrow front screen. It worked, sure, but it never felt natural. Typing felt cramped. Browsing felt compressed. Using the phone closed, like a normal phone, felt like a compromise you just had to accept if you wanted the foldable experience. With the Galaxy Z Fold 7, Samsung finally made that cover screen feel usable. A roughly 6.5-inch cover display changes everything. It's wide enough to type comfortably, scroll normally, and use apps without feeling like you're texting on a TV remote. This is Samsung listening to feedback and actually acting on it. But here's where the design story gets complicated, because thinner isn't automatically better if the phone becomes less comfortable to hold. The Z Fold 7 looks sharp, but those flatter sides can turn into a comfort problem during long sessions. If you're reading, gaming, editing, or doom scrolling for 30 minutes or more, the edges start to dig into your hand. It's the kind of discomfort you don't notice in a 2-minute store demo, but you absolutely notice when it's your daily driver. And this is where rivals like the Honor Magic V series and Vivo X Fold series have been quietly outplaying Samsung. They've been focusing on the shape that actually touches your palm, softer curves, subtle bevels, and edges that feel less aggressive during real use. This is exactly what Samsung needs to prioritize with the Galaxy Z Fold 8. Not just thinner, but more ergonomic. Because the best foldable phone isn't the one that wins a spec sheet measurement contest. It's the one you can comfortably use all day. Now let's talk about durability, because this is where Samsung's lead in foldables is starting to look less secure. Samsung deserves respect for bringing water resistance to foldables early. That was a major engineering flex, and it gave buyers confidence when other brands couldn't match it. But in 2025, and moving into 2026, the conversation has shifted. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 sits around an IP48 rating, and that's starting to feel behind the curve, especially when competitors are pushing higher levels of protection, including better resistance to dust and water. We're seeing foldables from brands like Honor and Vivo pushing IP58 and IP59 territory. And even Google is rumored to be raising durability expectations for future Pixel Fold models. And here's the reality. When you're asking people to spend around $2,000 on a foldable smartphone, the phone can't feel fragile. A premium foldable needs to survive daily life, coffee spills, rain, dust, beach trips, a gym bag, a pocket full of lint, accidental drops and weird angles. Samsung doesn't need to just be acceptable here, they need to be confidently ahead. So for the Galaxy Z Fold 8, improved ingress protection should be a priority upgrade, higher IP rating, better dust resistance, more peace of mind. Less hesitation. Because right now, Samsung's biggest threat isn't just another company making a thinner foldable, it's another company making a foldable that feels easier to live with. Now we need to talk about the biggest day-to-day problem with the Galaxy Z Fold 7, and I'm going to be blunt, the battery situation is not good enough. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 uses around a 4,400 mAh battery, and in a world where flagship phones are pushing 5,000 mAh as a baseline and competitors are going even higher, this feels like Samsung is treating battery capacity as an afterthought, and the worst part is, you feel it immediately. Foldables are power-hungry by nature. You've got a huge inner display, a cover display, higher multitasking usage, heavier browsing, more video, more split screen, more everything. So when the battery is undersized, the experience collapses fast. If you're a light user, sure, you might survive a day. But if you bought a Galaxy Z Fold for productivity, travel, content consumption, gaming, camera use, or multitasking, the Z Fold 7 can start feeling like a phone you have to manage instead of a phone that supports you. And when you compare it to the competition, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. We're seeing foldables and even mid-range phones packing 5,300 mAh, 5,850 mAh, and even around 6,000 mAh batteries. And in real-world use, that often translates into something that matters more than any design measurement: less charging anxiety, more freedom, more confidence. That's what the Galaxy Z Fold 8 needs to deliver. Samsung doesn't need to chase the biggest number on Earth, but they do need to hit a minimum that makes sense for a flagship foldable. For the Galaxy Z Fold 8, Samsung should be targeting at least a 5,000 mAh battery, minimum, and that's only half the story, because charging speed is where Samsung feels stuck in the past. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 charging speed sits around 25W wired charging, and in 2025, that feels outdated. Not a little slower. Outdated. When other flagship foldables are hitting 66W, 80W, even 100W charging, it changes how you live with the device. You stop thinking about battery. A quick top-up becomes meaningful. A 15-minute charge actually saves your day. With 25W charging on a premium foldable, charging becomes an event. You're waiting, you're planning, you're babysitting, and that's not what a $2,000 future phone experience should feel like. For the Galaxy Z Fold 8, Samsung needs to do two things: increase battery capacity and dramatically improve charging speed, because the whole point of a foldable is having a bigger display for productivity and entertainment. But what's the point of a massive inner screen if you're afraid to use it, because your battery won't last? Now let's talk cameras, because this is where Samsung is both close and still behind. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 upgrading to a 200 megapixel main camera was the right move. It's a headline feature that actually improves output, sharp detail, strong dynamic range, and that Samsung-style color that looks great for social media and everyday shooting. In good lighting, the Z Fold 7 main camera can absolutely produce flagship-level shots. It can compete in the conversations with other premium phones. And that matters, because foldable buyers should not have to sacrifice camera quality. But the issue is balance. Modern flagship camera systems don't win by having one amazing camera and two just okay cameras. And that's where the Z Fold 7 starts to feel uneven. The ultra-wide is fine, but not standout. It works, but doesn't impress. And the telephoto, especially, feels like the weak link when you compare it to other top foldables that offer stronger zoom hardware and better long-range detail.